here. I think we've got most of us. Yes. All right then. Welcome everybody. I know we have some visitors. Great to see you, and great to see folks from the Oversight Committee as well. So we will begin with a roll call of the commissioners, and I'll just sing out. We're going to have to, pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953, all votes during the teleconference meeting have to be taken by roll call. So we're going to begin with the call to order. Commissioner Cahill?
Here.
Commissioner Elkind?
Here.
Commissioner Foxton?
Here.
Commissioner Heavenridge?
Here.
Commissioner Hauser?
Here.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Here.
Commissioner Newberg? We'll come back. Commissioner Parker?
Here.
And Commissioner Schneider?
Here.
Now, everybody, you may have heard a new voice in the roll call, and so I would love to welcome Commissioner Rachel Parker. She's from Cotati, and perhaps she could say a few words about herself, why you're here for the Library Commission, and give us a little bit of information.
Sure. So thank you everyone for allowing me to join the group. I am a resident of Penn Grove. So although I'm representing Cotati, I'm in Penn Grove. Their bylaws said that would work. I had moved to Sonoma County in late 2018, so I'm still relatively new here. And I just wanted to reach out and find a great way to support the community and get to know its ebbs and flows better. And I thought the library would be a great way to go. I've been involved with my kids' libraries when they were youngsters in the public schools in Piedmont, and school libraries are a different animal from public libraries, but I'm keen to learn, and I think this will be a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. I believe we have another announcement in the...
From whom?
Jane, is there?
I was going to put this, I could do this now. It's a comment that is on something that's not on the agenda, so it would normally go under public appearances. But
Okay, well, we can do it then.
If you wish.
Why don't we do it in public comment then?
Okay. After the presentations. Okay.
Great. Thanks, Jane.
Mm-hmm.
Then we will move into presentations. We have a presentation from staff on the Racial Equity Initiative.
Good evening, commissioners. This is Lana, Public Services Division Manager. I'm just going to share my screen really quickly and we'll get the... Jane, can you stop screen sharing so I can pull up the PowerPoint?
There we go.
Thank you. Alrighty, we're ready to go. Suzanne, do you want to kick us off?
Yes, I do. Okay. Good evening, commissioners. I'm Suzanne Silva, Human Resources Manager, and I would like to introduce my team, which is Lana Adlawan, Public Services Division Manager, Freddie Gonzalez, Library Associate from Healdsburg, Sabine Select from librarian from Sonoma. And we are the Racial Equity Initiative team. We were last here in July to provide you with an update of what we had been doing thus far. And since then, we have been very busy. We'll go to the next slide. Yes. So the managers have been attending training, and we have recently completed a staff survey. We have created a racial equity tool and are busy implementing that. we have created an intranet page that is available for you to see on the staff intranet. And this week, we will be starting a racial equity word of the month, which will be appearing on the midweek message.
So in this graphic, you'll see many words: racial equity, microaggressions, privilege, cultural appropriation. These are words that you commonly hear in conversations about racial equity, and many organizations use a word of the month feature to introduce staff to the terminology used in racial equity trainings and literature. Next slide, please. This month, we will introduce a word of the month feature on our staff midweek message and intranet. In addition to teaching us a common vocabulary, we hope that the word of the month will serve as a springboard for discussion among our colleagues. We will also suggest print, video, and web resources to staff that will help to illustrate the words and concepts that we present. Next slide, please.
So as part of, we received some grant funds, and the team provided Be the Change Consulting to provide some training for us. 4 distinct trainings on culturally responsive supervision and team development techniques are included in this training. And the courses are fundamentals of equitable employee development, culturally responsive supervision techniques, identifying, supporting, and working with trauma, and promoting staff wellness and resiliency. Sorry, those are a lot of words. So far, we've completed 3 of these trainings that examine characteristics of white supremacy culture and application in organizations. The framework for this training is based on Ibram X. Kendi's book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, but it pivots to examining characteristics of the white supremacy culture at the organizational level and integrates them into supervisorial themes, including individualism, sense of urgency, paternalism, and quantity over quality. These white methods do have a way of limiting and oppressing the minority, but by becoming aware of how we apply these techniques and learning how to incorporate them into culturally sensitive techniques, we can better empower our BIPOC employees to be better contributors in the workplace. We've only scratched the surface, and it's quite fascinating.
We conducted a staff survey in early October and received 114 responses, which was 53.7% of all staff. Usually surveys have a response rate of 30%, so this was excellent. The survey allowed staff to self-identify, and we can see that it doesn't reflect the race and ethnicity of our county. The actual demographics for Sonoma County are Latinx being 25.8%, white being 64.4%, Black being 1.6%, mixed 3.2%, and Asian being 3.9%.
So from this slide, we clearly see the need that we need training in this area for all staff. It is wonderful that roughly 10% of our respondents have received some concentrated training, but we need to make this a priority for all staff since the majority of our respondents have not received basic training in this area. We also really appreciate that there is support for this work within our system. That's very valuable, with 83% of our respondents expressing value in examining and talking about race, and a large majority feeling comfortable in discussing this topic.
As explained before, the library doesn't reflect the diversity of our county, and staff have expressed the same sentiments. The good news is that they're willing to continue this conversation about racial equity, and most believe that there is work that can be done if they have the right resources. And these include more information, trainings, time, support from the management, and strategies.
We asked staff to weigh in on their individual perceptions in regards to increasing racial equity for youth in our community, how the library seeks input and assistance on decision-making from BIPOC, which are Black, Indigenous, people of color communities, and our partnerships with other institutions in advancing racial equity. What the survey results show is that staff involved in this work may know our impact, but a large majority of our staff don't. We believe that creating partnerships with community organizations, engagement in racial equity work will not only serve the entire community better, but make the library's commitment to this work more apparent for our county and staff. We also think shared marketing on our own platforms and community partner platforms will connect us to the audience that we're not reaching for input, either by them walking through our doors when we were open or providing services that are reflective and relevant to a wider community base.
Staff are also divided if the library is providing equitable access to our BIPOC, refugee, and immigrant communities. And they are also divided if the library is providing translation, interpretation services for limited English speakers. So next steps. As staff were also asked to identify strengths, needs, and challenges. With regards to strengths, they noted that there is more diversity in the staff, but it is not enough. They also pointed out the Latinx Advocacy Committee, the translation team, and our current racial equity team as the right steps as well. They also pointed to our bilingual programming, including our bilingual story time, and they believe that it does take small initial steps to get started, but more work is needed, including more consistent work. And they believe that the mission of the public library and the service to all of us, to all our users, is important. What is needed? They identified that more outreach, there needs to be more than intentions, there needs to be actions. Better recruitment, more listening within our organization, and expanding our language services beyond just Spanish, including also partnering with other community organizations. They point out the challenges in this organization, generally in the profession, that acquiring the degree to be able to be moved up in the organization is difficult. Staff need more training and awareness. The hiring pool isn't as diverse as it could be. Programming and services are still geared towards white audiences and not our BIPOC communities. There's also racism from the public and staff. Leadership teams that are not representative of our community demographics. The cost of living in Sonoma County, tokenism of our BIPOC staff on committees and other leadership opportunities, the lack of gender diversity, and the stress of BIPOC staff needing to educate white colleagues about racist actions or intent.
So as the commission has heard so far, there was a lot of bulk information in the open-ended questions. We have a couple more areas to cover. One of the questions we asked was how to recruit a diverse workforce. And we had lots of good suggestions from the staff in terms of working with high school and college students to offer internships and inform them of upcoming job opportunities that don't require that master's degree in library and information science. One of the ideas is that we could create a scholarship fund for our paraprofessional staff to support them to receive that barrier that is sometimes the degree. This could also be funded by the Friends and Foundation. So that might be a good fundraising opportunity for that. There's also the need to increase bilingual pay for staff and relooking at the minimum qualifications required for each position. In terms of our respondents wanting to focus on racial equity and inclusion efforts, they were really for creating a racial equity plan for all areas. So we've accomplished this within our hiring and training area, and we're moving that plan forward in recruiting for new positions. But staff also see the need for it in programming, leadership positions, collections, and they'd also like us to focus on racial equity and inclusion in our mission and vision statements, as well as our upcoming strategic plan. So one of the larger questions, if respondents had experienced or witnessed white privilege at work, the answer to the last one is overwhelmingly yes, with some respondents honestly answering that they didn't know what that looked like, but they were open to learning more about it. With the makeup of our staff demographics in the county, we think this is a real training need for staff to raise awareness in this area. And this also corresponds to gender dynamics in our organization. With training in this area, we can also look at the programs and services that we provide to better assess how white privilege is affecting our service priorities. And last but not least, I'm sure there were many questions, but we wanted to say, this work takes time, and we know our system and our team is committed to this work. As you can see, even from July, we've accomplished quite a bit. And we're really proud of the work of our staff for having such a great response to the survey. And we're excited what we can create together going forward. Our team is committed to providing quarterly updates to the commission. So expect to see us back in about 3 months to report on, again, the work that we're accomplishing in the system. For now, we have a call of action to staff and commissioners with our upcoming word of the month, racial equity word of the month. We really do hope that anyone will send us suggestions for your favorite racial equity books, videos, newspaper articles that you think that you'd like to share with more people, so that we can really have a shared education and discussion about these things for our system and with our commission. So you can feel free to email us anytime at racialequity@sonomalibrary.org. So that's it for us and our team, and we're happy to take your questions.
Thanks very much. I just want to let the commission know that we will be invited to fill out a similar survey that went out to the staff, so that we can also participate in this survey, in the project. Are there any questions from the commissioner? Thank you very much. That was very impressive.
Barbara.
Barbara, I didn't see your hand. Sorry.
Yeah, not a question so much as appreciation to this committee working on this. It's a lot to there's a lot of complexity to it, a lot to get your arms around. And I'm really glad that you're reporting back to the commission quarterly, because I think that just keeps some momentum going. I also love the midweek messages. I watch them every week. I think it's a great way to reach the staff as well as commission, because I think we probably all watch. But anyway, thank you for your work on this, and we look forward to continuing report. So thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Andy has his hand up.
Andy, where am I not seeing your? Okay. Commissioner Elkin, go.
I also wanted to say how much I appreciate what you're doing, and I think it's great that you've polled the staff. Is there any plan to include polling of our patrons about their perspectives and experiences in interacting with the library?
I haven't discussed that as a team yet. We have a long list of things to move forward, but I think that's a great idea. So we'll definitely take it back to our team and look at how, especially if we're looking at training for staff and looking at programs and services, that might be an essential part in creating that change moving forward. So thank you for the suggestion.
And are you going to tell us what the upcoming word of the month is, or do we have to wait until the middle of the week?
I think you're going to have to wait.
I feel like we're entitled to a little bit of a preview here if you want to get us on board.
I think that there are a lot of amazing resources coming up in the word of the month. So I really encourage you to take a look at the message.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you.
What was last week's word?
This is our very first week. This is the first month.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? David.
Yeah. I just want to commend the task force for their work. This is really difficult stuff, and you're getting deep into the hard issues. So I look forward to further reports and to taking part in the commissioner survey. So keep on doing it. It's really good.
Reese.
Okay, this has been a long-standing passion of mine, and I'm really glad to hear that you're so actively addressing it finally. It's taken a long time, not just for the library, but for society in and of itself. And I was also very glad to hear that a survey is coming to the commissioners, because I think they need to be part of this too. So thank you very much for your work and your passion.
Thanks very much. All right, moving on. The Measure Y Oversight Committee Annual Report Presentation. Welcome, Mr. Alonso. It's good to see you. Always a pleasure.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for having me. So we're gonna Oh, Jane's got it ready to go. So perfect. So we have a brief PowerPoint presentation tonight. Our chair, Janice Brokaw, couldn't make it. I'm Scott Alonso. I'm the vice chair of the Oversight Committee for this coming fiscal year. And just some brief background, we met as a committee 4 times this year, once in person right before the pandemic started, and then 3 times virtually. And we worked on this report starting in September and then starting in August, and then finalized it just a few weeks ago. So we'll just take you through some highlights and then answer any questions. So we looked at, obviously what our goals of Measure Y are, what the library accomplished this past fiscal year, what the financial summary was, and then any conclusions that we have. And then, like I said, we'll leave some time for any questions. So as we know, the Measure Y was passed by the voters in 2016. As part of that, this oversight committee was created, and we were actually formed in July of 2017. And then Jane, if we could go to the next slide, please. And then so the Measure Y funds can only be used for specific purposes as outlined in the ballot measure to support library collection and programs, improve access to our library system, and then maintain aging library facilities. So we wanted to, in our report, we wanted to highlight some great work that occurred from the staff and the commission this last fiscal year with Measure Y monies. Some of the things we wanted to highlight, there's quite a few accomplishments here, but there was some great emergency preparedness training, including some ASL classes. There was a focus on improving job skills and computer literacy, and also some early learning workshops in Spanish and English, and book clubs and distinguished speakers. One of the cool things that the staff did was these student one cards. So 50,000 students in Sonoma County were able to use their student ID numbers to access library services. So that we felt like that was a tremendous accomplishment to call out for the public. Roseland, we wanted to highlight just in the continued development for the new location. And then certainly, relevant to what our times are now is the hotspots and the Chromebooks, giving additional access to the internet so folks can browse from home. And so that was a huge success this past fiscal year. And then in terms of the facilities, like we mentioned, Roseland making progress. We did want to call out that the Petaluma refresh was paused and that the facilities plan was just on hold given what's been going on. And then here's really where we kind of dive into the numbers. And Mike Neely is here. He's a member of our committee, and he helped did a fantastic job crunching the numbers for us. And Mike, Mike is here, I think. But if he wants to say anything, he can jump in. But as you can see property tax and sales tax are broken out here. And once fiscal year 17-18, when the sales tax monies were starting to be received, the budget of the library ballooned in a very positive way to cause or to allow for increased spending. And since fiscal year 2017-2018, $38 million has come to the library system from Measure Y. So a pretty big chunk for the community. And then we Mike worked on this table detailing going back as far as actually 2016, 2017. So that was the fiscal year before Measure Y, and then the subsequent 3 years. And this report covers 2019 to 2020. And you can see all the expenses broken out and where the revenues came from. And from Measure Y monies, a surplus of $11 million down there at the very bottom right-hand corner. So you can see all those numbers there. So one of the things that we wanted to just recognize for the public and is just the immense challenges facing staff during this unprecedented times, and how grateful the committee is, and I think the public is as well, for all the work the staff are doing, providing services remotely, curbside, and just expanding access. I mean, that's a real key thing here for Measure Y, and it's working. And we wanted to, highlight that, all the money being spent is being spent appropriately. And we've reviewed the finances closely. And that was just the overarching bottom line. So everything is being spent appropriately and well. And we wanted to just underscore that these services that Measure Y is providing are vital for the library, especially during these economic downturn. The revenue is 20% lower than it was the previous fiscal year. And so the good news is the library system's expenses are down. That's partly just because the physical locations are closed. And the library system remains in the black with a $650,000 surplus. So we called those out also in our report, just the overall fiscal picture of the library. So, and then I think just, moving forward, we wanted to highlight two kind of key areas that library services are going to have to change given COVID-19, and how is the library going to address that? And also, how is Measure Y going to be used to address that? And how we're going to see that change over time, certainly into the next year. So, excuse me, those are kind of the things we wanted to leave the commission with tonight. We really appreciate all the support we've received from the library staff, especially Jane and Ray and Ray's graphics teams. His team members there have helped design and edit the report. And I just want to really thank Mike and Janice and our whole entire committee for meeting during these times virtually, and Jane for really being our backbone support. And ultimately, thank you to the library director, Anne, for assisting us. I know there is one thing we just wanted to call out, was just kind of the change of the CFO position and just that turnover there. Certainly, we work very closely with the CFO when we crunch the numbers and get those budget items to us. So certainly the turnover there is just something that we're obviously following, and we want to make sure that that's stabilized. But I think overall, we're just really impressed with the work that's going on, and appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all tonight.
Thanks very much. We're delighted to have the report, and we're delighted that you and your colleagues have worked so hard on this for so long. We're really appreciative of that. Are there any questions from the commission?
Yes, Paul here.
Paul.
Yeah, Scott, thank you so much for your work and everybody else, including the staff that's worked on this, because we've been having this discussion for a while, exactly what's a good snapshot of where these funds are going. And this report really helps us going forward and what we're doing and what we can do. And also from the point of the advocacy committee, we always get questions from our patrons and the community at large about where the funds are going. So this is really good that we can now really succinctly talk about where the funds are going. So again, thank you for your work and everyone else that worked on this.
Thank you.
Any other comments? I can't see anyone raising their hand on the.
I have a question.
Deborah, I'm
Okay,
raising my.
go Andy. Okay, thank you.
Scott, my name is Andy Elkin. I'm the chair of the Finance Committee. I would really like to echo Paul's comments and thank you and the Measure Y committee for all the work that you've done this year. It is incredibly important, and we're really grateful for the effort that you and the other members of the team have put in. I did want to ask you a question. Obviously, we're all concerned that revenues that we receive from sales tax are spent on in those areas that are permitted by the ballot measure. And you indicated that that was the case. I'm wondering if you could just expand on that a little bit and talk about, what you and the committee do to kind of come to that conclusion, because it's deeply reassuring to hear it. But I'd like to be able to, respond in a little more detail if I get any questions from somebody on that.
Sure. Thanks, Commissioner, for the question. So we get detailed financial breakdowns at every meeting that we have from the staff. And that really looks at, we go line by line, essentially, on everything from how much custodial staff costs to security guards to workers' comp insurance to salaries and benefits. And the staff have done just a tremendous job helping us get those numbers. There has been some challenges just because of the staff turnover, but I think we feel confident that we review them. There have been some questions that have come up in the past. Is this appropriate Measure Y funding source or a program? But we work with staff to understand more about why that budget decision was made and give that feedback and to help everyone understand where we're going. And we've certainly seen it evolve and grow. Just the sheer amount of money that's being used for facilities, the refreshes in prior years, and also just looking at teen services, adult services. It's been just tremendous, the support Measure Y is giving to the library system and the community. And so we do our best homework to understand that. And I don't know if Mike wants to weigh in at all too.
Well, we look at a few key numbers there. We look at the salaries and benefits is the first one. And as we pointed out in the report, there was a thing about how those figures are transferred over to the Measure Y budget, but we were assured that there's a way in the future to have the actual slots that are tagged as Measure Y charged for the future. And then we look at the materials budget and events and programs, which is in the accounts represented as special departmental expenses, and then capital expenses. So, and then we look at each one of those and say, okay, were these expenses part of the items that are called out in Measure Y? And if there's any discussion, we've had discussions with the staff, and we've always come to an agreement on what we didn't feel like it was, and they've changed it to the general fund.
Thanks, Mike.
Great. And for those who don't know, Mike was until recently the chair of the Oversight Committee, so has
Right.
lots of information. Any other, Barbara, you had a question?
Yeah, I wanted to add my thanks to everyone who's on the committee because they are all volunteers volunteering their time. And this is a crucial document to maintain the trust of the community and the voters who voted for this measure. So it's a very important report. I did want to just add some clarification. I thought that I heard Scott say that the budget was down 20%. And I wanted to kind of hone in on whether you're talking about this report or the estimated budget for the future. I wasn't sure which the numbers were. We're not looking at a 20% overall budget reduction, but possibly that much in the sales tax part of our budget, which is, just in terms of making it clear to anybody who might be watching that the sales tax is, maybe roughly a third, I think 38%, maybe it said in this report, but the other percentage of it is property tax. So I don't, Scott, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. I was referring to the Measure Y revenue. So we're projecting that it would be a 20% reduction in the sales tax revenue.
All right, so you are talking about looking forward. Yeah, that's the budget estimate we use, but again, just for the sales tax. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Oh,
Okay.
I just want to mention one thing, Scott. You were talking about the refresh, and I know this is probably since you wrote the report, this is new, but the Petaluma refresh is on again.
Oh, okay.
It's a good time to do it since we're closed.
Yeah. Well, as
That's
a
moving.
Petaluma resident myself, as you know, Paul, I'm in full
Right,
support of that. So
It's good. It's a good time to do it. So
awesome.
Okay.
Well,
Thanks
thank
very
you,
much.
Chair Doyle, and thanks, Mike, for joining me tonight. And thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much. And while you're here, we may just, we're going to move action item 10 up. We might as well, since we've heard the wonderful report, we might as well adopt it. So item 10.1 in the action items by motion is Measure Y Oversight Committee Annual Report, and we should accept it. So if I have a
I move
motion.
to accept it.
Okay.
Excuse me, Chair Doyle, Commissioner Schneider has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Karen. I didn't see your hand up on the
It's
side.
okay. I just wanted, I was following up on the refresh question myself, and Paul really got it answered. It's okay.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll
I second it.
Okay, why don't we call it Andy? And before we take the vote, is there any public comment? Hearing none, I am going to call the roll and ask for votes to accept the Measure Y Oversight Committee Annual Report. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Elkind,
Yes.
Commissioner Foxen,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Hauser,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Newberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider,
Yes.
and I'll make it unanimous. Thank you so much to the Oversight Committee for all of your hard work and for the staff who were supporting them as well. All right, then we will. And I also, apologies to the public. We were so excited by the Racial Equity Initiative presentation that I neglected to ask for public comment after that as well. So if there's anybody in the public who wants to comment on that, we welcome your suggestions or your comments at least. Hearing none, we will move on to public appearances. This is members of the public who wish to address the commission regularly about matters not on the agenda. So,
Chair Doyle, I could read the comment that we have received through the email at this time. That's okay.
please, if you would. Mhm.
This is from Larry Donovan, a Rincon Valley Library aide. He says, a simple suggestion regarding reopening the branches to patrons. Since the coronavirus is spiking now and is likely to continue doing so during the cold months and the holidays, I feel very strongly that any decision to reopen should be left up to those who work in the branches, perhaps by a vote. The decision should not be made by those working in secure, isolated offices at HQ or from the comfort of their home. Respectfully, Larry Donovan. And that's all.
Okay. And no other announcements, no other public appearances? Okay. Our next item is Library Advisory Board, Foundation, the Friends of the Library. And Ms. Ortiz, are you here? Do you want to give us an update on the foundation?
I am here, and I think there's a presentation, there's a PowerPoint as well. That someone was going to, here we go. Thank you. I haven't met Commissioner Parker yet. Hello. So just a brief introduction to the foundation. We provide funding to ensure equitable access to Sonoma County Library services. So right now that means at our last meeting, we approved $80,000 to go to the library. $5,000 of that came from a Rotary Club donation, specifically for Martin Luther King Jr. Day displays, and then we'll be getting another donation. It's somebody who's specifically interested in having displays for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So I think we're getting another $2,000, and that will go directly to the library for those displays. the $5,000 came first because we got it first, and the librarians have told us that they need to start getting those funds so they can start ordering things. And we gave $20,000 to expand Hoopla access to the Student One cards. So we love the Student One program. As Scott was talking about, 50,000 students now have access to library services. That's amazing. And with $20,000, they'll be able to access Hoopla as well. We donated $15,000 to expand digital Spanish collections. As a board, we are concerned about the number of Spanish patrons, Spanish-speaking patrons the library has versus the percentage of materials available to them. And so we want to make sure that there are available materials right now, specifically in digital, because that's largely what's being used. And $20,000 to expand Wi-Fi from the physical branches. We were told by Director Hammond that this was a critical concern. I know the Windsortown Library and the Sonoma Valley branch have already undergone digital Wi-Fi expansion. And so this $20,000 will go to other libraries. And we've asked the library, and they're going to give us information about how much it will cost for each branch and what's possible to expand Wi-Fi outside of the branches. And we are interested in furthering fundraising for that, and possibly maybe partnering with the Friends, or doing a campaign to really get people excited about expanding the Wi-Fi, since it is such a important, it's a utility right now and people need it. And so we're happy to donate towards that. Next slide, please. As many of you know, we had a event last month, I Love Chocolate and Wine Tasting. We have a very popular event called Chocolate and Cinema, which is usually at the Rialto Cinemas every August. And unfortunately, this year we weren't able to have it because cinemas aren't open. And so we did a online virtual presentation with a local chocolatier from Fleur Sauvage Chocolates. And I just want to thank everybody. I really just want to shout out quickly to all of the library staff who helped us put it on. We could not have done it without Bridget and Siri. They were amazing. Siri for her endless enthusiasm and helping guide us along the way. Bridget for all of your technical assistance. Really stand out. We could not have done it without them. And I really want to thank the library staff who donated. Director Hammond doubled her donation during the event. That was awesome. Ray Hawley donated, Siri donated. And I just want to say thank you to all the commissioners who donated. If you sent in a check, I might not have seen it yet, so I'm not purposely leaving anybody out, but I just really want to say a huge thank you to Commissioner Doyle, McKenzie, Hauser, Elkind, Newberg, and Schneider. It really was kind of emotional for me. It felt like this was such an event that we had the Library Commission supporting us and library staff supporting us. And we had 100% participation from people on our board donating to the event specifically. And it just felt really, really amazing, like a sign of what we could do when we're all supporting the library. And so I just really want to say thank you to everybody for all of your support, for especially Commissioners Hauser and Elkin for turning to your other commissioners and saying, hey, let's donate. I really appreciate all of your support. So thank you very much. And a shout out to our friends at Friedman's who donated the Press Democrat ad that advertised the event as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It means a lot to us. And over $6,000 was raised when we went and counted. We were aiming for 3, and so then we got 6. So every dollar counts. And that presentation is now on YouTube, and we're still getting donations in from it. So thank you very much. Your donations matter. Next slide, please. Oh. We missed the what's next, but basically we have a brand new website. It just went live. So we have a new website. The first time I came to talk to you a couple months ago, I talked about how we're kind of taking this year to really build up our resources so that we're prepared for capital events in the future. And so we just got a new website. We're working on more physical collateral. If you picked up a curbside pickup in the month of September or October, you might have gotten our newsletter and our bookmarks. We're just trying to build our awareness in the community and for library patrons that the library is great and there's a foundation that supports it, and we want to be able to support it even more. We're hoping to do another online event, possibly in December. I will let you know as soon as I have more details, but we are working on that, as well as an end of the year campaign that you'll see in your emails, on social media, and through your mail. And of course, we're always looking for new board members. So if you have suggestions, if you would like to introduce us to anybody, if I know it's kind of difficult virtually these days, but people who are interested in being on the board or who are interested in a limited capacity. So maybe they're interested in just helping with events or just helping with finances, or, they have a specific skill set, that would be great. And so we are looking for new board members. And then lastly, on the next slide, Siri has worked with one of her friends to make a video for us, which you will see as part of our end of the year campaign. And so again, thank you to Siri for just injecting so much enthusiasm and ideas into our meetings. And so here's the video. Imminently.
What's more popular than Starbucks and has more patrons than all of the Major League Baseball and NBA games combined? The library, of course. In fact, libraries serve more people than movie theaters do. But libraries can't do it alone. Public funding is in serious jeopardy as revenue sources decline from world events. So it's now more important than ever to help our most treasured resource thrive. The Sonoma County Public Library Foundation has been there, making programming possible and ensuring the community has the resources they've come to expect from our world-class library system. The foundation is not just about fundraising. It's about enhancing the quality of life of those it serves by making materials, programs, and opportunities available to all in our community. By donating to the Sonoma County Public Library Foundation, you're not only helping the library maintain its service level to the community, but you're ensuring that every segment of the community is served. As we move into unprecedented budget cuts, it's now more important than ever to invest in the future of our library system so we can continue to sponsor innovative ideas, child development, and above all, help offer a safe and inspiring place to learn and grow. Please help and invest in our community's future by donating to the Sonoma County Public Library Foundation. Thank you.
So that's it for me. I just wanted to say thank you to you all for everything you're doing. And that's what the foundation is doing.
Thanks so much. Really, thank you very much for your generosity. And honestly, about the recent event, what's not to like? Libraries, chocolate, and wine, right? We were all very happy to support the cause. Any comments from the commissioners? Karen.
Yeah, first of all, I want to pass along my admiration for a really great event. That was a whole lot of fun. It wasn't just a nice thing to do, but it was genuinely a well-done event, and I'm looking forward to many more. And also your presentation was really polished, and you answered the questions I had, so I'm just looking forward to what's next.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Andy.
Yes. Sarah, I just wanted to thank you also. I'm really excited by what you've been doing, and it feels like you're kind of taking a leap here in terms of the development of the foundation, and I could not be more excited. We're grateful for your support and just look forward to bigger and better things in the future. So please Keep it up. Thanks for your leadership.
Thank you.
Maria?
At the beginning of this year, as many of you know, we voted to focus on capital campaigns, and then COVID hit. So things are definitely different, but that doesn't mean we can't do capital campaigns in the form of like Wi-Fi expansion and things like that. So looking forward to that.
I think that's a great area of focus, and please know you have my full support in any way I can.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any public comment? Okay, hearing none. Thank you again. We're delighted that you dropped by for the report, and we look forward to the next one. Our next item are library reports. So Director Hammond.
Sure. So you have the management reports in your packet, and the division managers have done a great job of synthesizing the enormous amount of work that has gone on in the library over the past month. The staff have done a fabulous job of expanding services. The curbside pickups and checkouts have been expanding. The digital checkouts, the technology accessing through the Chromebooks and the hotspots, or just people coming and using the Wi-Fi from outside the building. And as Sarah pointed out, we're going to soon be expanding the capacity for Wi-Fi access outside the buildings. And so I think that's a very, very important thing. Our reopening team is continuing with their progress toward refining exactly what our protocols will be, what our accessibility will be, and the services that we'll be able to offer when we do reopen. I just want to stress that at this time, we do not have a timetable for that. We were trying to get at least one library open before the end of the year, but right now, as you know, we're still in Sonoma County's in the purple zone. So while we technically have permission from the county health officer to be open at 25% capacity, on the other side of that is that purple zone and the increasing incidence of COVID. So we're watching all of that very carefully. We don't want to be in a position of reopening and then having to back up again. So we're being careful with that. You may have heard that we are moving forward with the strategic plan that got put on hold last March. I've been in contact with Diane Satchwell, our consultant, and we're refining the plans and the procedures. So you'll be hearing more about that very soon. We want to make sure that whatever we do is inclusive of all of our different communities. So in light of what we heard today from the racial equity team, excuse me, we will be reaching out to a lot of different aspects of our community, and we'll make sure that we can do our listening sessions in English and in Spanish. In terms of the archives, several of you have expressed interest or concern about that. I've been participating in the twice weekly status update calls with the county, talking about the situation out there at the Los Guilacos facility, the campus. So what I know at this point is that the building where the archives are housed is structurally sound. It was not damaged. The county is continuing to evaluate all of the safety systems and do some remedial work, removing downed or damaged trees, as well as cleaning up the exterior. They're also going to pay for cleaning of the interior of the building. And as of this week, we will be allowed to go in and evaluate the collections for ourselves. Dave Tacheva, facilities manager, and some of his crew did go out earlier and had a quick look around, and he assured me that the building was sound. Nothing was in danger there. But of course, he's not there to look at the collections. We'll have somebody to take a look at the materials and see where we need to go from there. And it was mentioned earlier, the turnover with the CFO in the IT manager. We're moving forward on that. We have the IT manager posting ready to go. And Suzanne Silva and I are contracting with a firm to help us with the recruitment for the CFO position. So I hope to have that posted very, very soon. And then I would just like to end with an anecdote. This is something that was shared with me by Dave Tacheva, and he reported that our disaster preparedness training was put to the test in October at our history and genealogy building. They were doing routine maintenance on the HVAC system, and it exposed a water leak in the roof drain. The H&G staff were inside the building, and they witnessed water suddenly coming down from 2 locations in the ceiling. They immediately knew what to do, had the materials on hand to prevent what potentially could have been catastrophic damage to hundreds of items. Facility staff and managers on the call list all responded to the situation as soon as they could. The leak was stopped, and we're currently investigating and repairing the cause. But thanks to the fast work of our staff, none of the materials were irreparably damaged.
That's terrific and a terrifying story.
Yes.
You mentioned that that the CFO search is going to be proceeding. I remember months ago, before the lockdown, we were talking about possibly a deputy director for you. So I'm hopeful that you are considering that in terms of what the management structure looks like.
I am, yes, thank you. And I will bring more information to the commission probably next month. But what I want to do is think very closely about what our ideal structure is in terms of the administration and how do we get there. The current vacancies that we have are tragic from one direction or another. Does offer an opportunity to re-examine where we are and where we want to go from here.
Okay. And also I want to really commend the library publicity and the library news section. There's just so much information. It doesn't matter how many papers you get, you're never going to see all the stories. There seem to be many stories. So I'm very grateful that is part of our report. Any comments from the rest of the commission?
Yeah, this is Barbara. I have a question. Just a couple of comments on the management report. I really like the new management report. Continue to like it. Really nice and clear. I had one small suggestion, which is we get to see the current month compared to the month last year, which is helpful. But I'm wondering if we can see a month to month kind of a graph kind of thing. I'm hoping that we see an increase in what we're being able to provide. I was a little surprised at how low the e-card sign up was for one thing. And of course, very depressed to see the plunge in the programming numbers. We had such a strong programming audience going on last year. When we're talking about the IT expanding into parking lots, I think I've asked this question before, so forgive me, but when we're talking about expanding that, is it a true statement that at all of our libraries currently now you can park in the parking lot and get Wi-Fi? And what we're talking about is just maybe faster Wi-Fi for more people, or exactly what we're looking at there?
What we're talking about is a more robust signal, so it will reach farther out. And I believe Mike Daw is on the call, so you correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but all of our locations do currently have accessibility from the parking lots.
That is correct. We're just adding to it and having it go farther. We're having site surveys today to get the work started.
Great. Thank you. And I just had one final comment. And thank you, Anne, for the update on the archives. And I'm glad you're having a lot of phone calls about it. The letter that we all received as commissioners from a couple of folks who are very involved in the world were concerned about the location. And, I'm we're not quite there talking about location, and I know it's, we've been talking about this for a while, but
Yeah.
is the county indicated that they might help with relocating the whole kit and caboodle to a better location?
We have not had that conversation with them yet. But they do understand the vulnerability of the current location and the importance of the materials.
Yeah, it's two very close calls.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Hello.
Go, Karen.
Hi. Sorry.
No, that's good.
Hi. So yeah, I want to echo that I really like the report and and the key indicators, but also to as we look to ask for more things in these reports and so forth, I want to piggyback on what Commissioner Doyle said and say I hope we're thinking about a chief operating officer. We really need administrative pickup. Anne is doing a marvelous job, but she's one person, and these are very complex times.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? And I apologize, I can't see your hands because I can't see the gallery view. So, but I don't hear anyone. All right. Any public comment on the library report? Great. Then we will move into budget and finance.
So Randy Seipel from the county is here, and what we have presented for the commission tonight is the summary sheet that just shows the upper level of all the background materials that made up the sheet that you have there. And during the coming month, Randy and I will be working with the finance committee to refine what the finance reports will look like going forward. But for now, do you want to say anything about the report, or if you have questions specific for him? The basic message is that we're doing okay in terms of our revenue and expenditures.
Yes, I have a suggestion and a question. In the quarterly report here, under revenue, on the first line is account number 74807. It says library. Now that makes some sense to the county, and this is a county chart of accounts we're using. But of course, to us, that's property tax. Going forward, I think it should say property tax in parallel with sales tax on the next line. My question is, at the very bottom, a mysterious caption called General Ledger Adjustments to Cash. In non-technical terms, what's a general ledger, and what does this set of entries mean?
Yeah, that would be a Randy question.
Hello, this is Randy Seipel. I work with the Sonoma County Auditor's Office, and I prepared this report. To put it as far as layman terms, a general ledger usually are what we call your permanent accounts. That probably doesn't help. These are balance sheet accounts that we see for the library. This is shown here because the whole point of this report is to reconcile to cash. You see you have a beginning cash balance for each month and then an ending cash balance. And this report is based upon revenue and expenditures. Unfortunately, not all cash transactions run through revenue and expenditures. There will always be some transactions that don't hit a revenue or expenditure account. And so we have to have this adjustment area or section on these reports in order to actually balance to cash. The most common of these adjustments are related to accounts payable or accounts receivable. So those would be expenses or revenues that were recorded in a prior period, and the actual underlying or subsequent transaction, the cash in or cash out, doesn't happen until the current period. And so that's what those are, essentially adjustments to get us to be able to reconcile to cash. I hope that helps.
Okay. Yes, helps a lot.
Okay.
I
Barbara,
love
I
the
think you had your
quarterly
hand up.
form.
Yeah. And I believe that that the finance committee is going to, this is the opportunity for us to maybe rethink what the financial reports look like. And so I think that the next finance committee is going to be pretty busy. Barbara, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody's trying to pull these reports up, but we're not seeing anything right now. We're just, yeah. But anyway, when I read the agenda, I'm remembering that it said, kind of pull out a separate line item for the wine library. And I was curious about why that was the case.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't quite understand that or catch that.
Yeah, I'm kind of at a handicap here because I can't give you a citation on it, but the wine library, which is just, a part of the Healdsburg Library, I was wondering whether there was a separate line item kind of addressing, and now I don't remember whether it was, are we going to get that up soon?
It's $5,000, $5,100.
Yeah, so that represents donations that are specific to the wine library.
But is it just because that happened this past month? I mean, we don't show our other things like, when Friends, we don't have the Friends line items or anything on there. I've just seemed kind of strange that we had the wine library one on there.
I think I understand your question. So why am I even showing that or representing that in this report? Again, coming from the outside, not knowing a thing about the structure of the library, I'm looking in the county's accounting system at what we call the fund level. That's the highest level of your accounting structure. And so I basically prepared a report for all of your funds. So not knowing the relevance of them or not, I want to make sure I had everything in there. I understand there's a number of subsections to each one of these funds that feed up into them, but this is the highest level. So again, maybe wine library is not relevant on this report. Again, we have to understand I have no experience with libraries, so I gave it my best shot.
Okay. Well, thank you for your best shot, and thank you for helping us through this interim period. I really appreciate it, Randy, and I'm sure we'll be working with you for the finance committee to further fine tune it. It's just a question I had about the wine library.
Absolutely. I welcome all input, all suggestions, requests. When we do this reporting, it takes a lot of time to put them together. So obviously, I want to make sure I put something together that's useful to you and that you'll actually spend time reading and getting useful information out of. So yes, please give me your input.
Okay. Well, again, we really appreciate your helping us. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you again, Randy. We appreciate your help very much, as everyone has said. And look forward to working with you still.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to commission and liaison reports. Anybody have any comments about the collected commissioner reports? Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to ask for public comment on the financial report. Any public comment? Hearing none, we'll move to the commissioner reports. Does anybody have any additions, any comments on the commissioner reports? Everybody's busy this month. All right.
I had a comment. I don't know if you can.
I can't see you, so go.
I hate to interrupt, but I just wanted to call out the Friends of the Library, Roanoke Park, Atati, been as active as they possibly can be in this totally crazy time. And we were able to put together a really nice collaboration with the city of Roanoke Park for donations. And I just wanted to commend everybody, especially the city, because instead of having a donation event down at the library, the city suggested that we do it at the community center. So they had their staff helping and taking everything inside and quarantining and then putting tables back out for sorting and stuff. So it was just a really nice collaboration. And I wanted to, just mention that because I think all the Friends groups are struggling. They want to be active and involved, and there's all the limitations with getting into the library. So anyway, that worked out really well. I want to thank everybody involved. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Reese. I just wanted to say that in my report, a lot of it was about the Historical Records Commission, which I'm liaison. And I want to tell the new people on the commission that even those of us who've been around for 6+ years hit a learning curve. And this is a learning curve that I'm going through. So don't get scared. Don't give up. Don't panic. It's there and you can learn. So enjoy.
Thanks, Commissioner Foxen. All right. Then we will, let's see, liaison report. Anything additional from our committees? Any additional remarks, Commissioner Heavenridge or Commissioner Hauser?
I would like to say, I think the report stands as it is, and I'm sure everybody read it with just excitement. It was such an exciting report. But I did want to mention one thing is that I've gotten a couple letters from Petaluma residents about the library. And Sarah Van Treese, I sent one to to Anne actually, and she had passed it on. There's a couple questions I couldn't answer. So what came out of that experience, and Sarah did a great job in responding to the issues. It just brought up again that we need to speak in one voice as a commission, and the idea of having kind of FAQ on the website, or maybe something that we can access as commissioners, seems really important right now. And so I thought that was interesting and something we kind of talked about in the advocacy committee. But we're also talking about the calendar, getting your information as ambassadors. So I think it's important, and I think our next advocacy meeting will talk about getting an FAQ or a Q&A up so that we can all talk in one voice. So I just wanted to mention that. It really helped me to know some of the answers. And as we know, it's a fluid situation right now. So it's good to have one place to go and find the answers to the questions, and so everybody can speak in one voice. That's all I was going to say.
Great idea. Great idea. The FAQ is a great idea. Anybody else? Any public comment on the committee and liaison reports? All right, hearing none. We don't have any lab appointments this month. Moving down to the consent calendar. These matters include routine financial and administrative actions that may be approved by consensus. We're actually going to pull 9.1 out because late breaking news arrived about this that Anne will talk to us about.
Yes, so we got some information from our insurance broker just this afternoon that they will be providing us with a quote for $2 million of insurance coverage. We had inadvertently asked for $1 million of insurance coverage versus the $2 million that was recommended by our legal counsel. So we don't have the actual invoice yet or the quote from them. It will be under the $50,000 that is my approval range, but I wanted you to be aware of it so that I believe, Suzanne, I believe what they can do is go ahead and approve the contract now, knowing that there will be an adjustment.
Yes, thank you, commissioners. So the policy currently is quoted to us at $91,467, and with the additional $1 million for excess D&O directors and officers coverage, it would go up an additional $19,000. So the total would be just about 110,000 for the total policy for the total liability policy. So it's just that extra million for the directors and officers and EPL coverage. So the quote actually was included, but they hadn't received it back from the broker yet at that point.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions from the?
Yeah, I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
This is Barbara. I wanted to, I was going to pull that item anyway. I had a question on page 68. Is it possible to pull that up? So this, is that 68? Oh yeah. So this has the friends, all the friends groups. So I think we talk about this every year, but I've never cleared it. Yeah. And so the friends groups, most of them have offsite storage capability or offsite storage that they use. And I believe that our insurance has covered those facilities for liability. But this seems to be something else. And I didn't know what it was. And I wondered if we could get some clarity because I know the Rohnert Park Katati friends are always talking about, liability and whether the friends are covered inside and so forth. And I don't know. I'm confused about it.
I know. And it's every year it's an issue. So the friends, and we tried to put together some information for them. So the friends do not have workers' comp. Since they're a 501c3 organization, they should have their own workers' comp coverage. The friends also do not have the friends' contents. So their books, etc., are covered, but they are not covered for any type of injury or any type of, if they were doing a friends, like if they were doing that book sale that you were doing, that you went to have at the community center, if they were doing that on the library property and somebody was injured, that wouldn't be covered under the liability policy of the library. So that's what this policy covers. Only the contents of the books that the friends keep at the library is what's covered under this policy.
But see how wacky it is? It says applicable policies, package, auto, and umbrella.
I know, but when you go to, there's another page on the policy and it lists out in detail where it has a schedule of the content and it talks about what's covered. Let me get to the page of it. Oh, sorry, it's on a spreadsheet. I should have known that we would have this conversation because we have it every year.
We do. But every year.
I know, and there is actually a letter that Siri actually sent out to all the friends telling them specifically about what they are covered because we have this conversation. Basically, we told all the friends what they needed to provide if they wanted to have events on their property, which is basically a certificate of coverage, and they needed to send it to me so that I could have it on file. And because we have a couple of the other friends group. So on page 75 of our commission packet, it shows property statement of values, what is covered, and it shows all of the various properties and what's covered. And so on those are our properties. And then it will show on page 74, it shows the other ones of what's covered. So some of these are the buildings, and then the other ones are the actual friends properties. So I know the friends always have questions. So if the friends groups want to contact me, I could explain it to them.
Okay.
Better. Yeah.
Well,
the
comp isn't
an
issue because they're not employees. I think it's really a liability thing. And I wasn't just talking about these kind of extraordinary events that they're having to do right now for collections, but on an ongoing basis, once we're all back in the library, whether they're covered on the library's liability coverage.
Well, because it gets really sticky, and I don't even want to get into the sticky situation because it makes it even more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think this is
someday.
I think this is a different conversation.
Yeah, this is a totally different conversation.
Yeah.
It's not related to and with regards to this situation, but the issues are, and I think that there were some questions about why there were increases to our policy this year, and there were a couple, and it was a little bit difficult. It wasn't difficult to get us insurance, but we were more places declined to quote us this year because we do have a couple of our buildings that are in fire moratorium zones because of the wildfires. So,
But as I recall, you said that they hadn't raised last year. They didn't raise it very much, so this year was a little bit more than you
yeah, that was
expected, something
our
like that.
D&O
Yeah.
coverage. Yeah.
Mhm.
So there,
Okay.
because we have an active claim going on. So, yes. And then the increase in the, $1 million increase in our EPL insurance makes it go up too. So I was glad that we were able to get that in. And, our coverage does expire on the 6th of this month. So
Any other questions from the commission?
This is Tom Hauser. My question was, when does this expire? And I think I was just told it expires in 4 days.
That's right. So we need to vote on it now.
Why we need to vote on something. So I want to make sure we understand exactly what we're voting on. Are we voting on $1 million coverage or a $2 million coverage?
Two.
Okay. And we have 99 some thousand dollars for the $1 million and an estimate of 19,000 on the extra million. And that's certainly within the director's financial capacity to determine that. So exactly what do we want to approve to make this legal? Do we want to approve the $1 million policy and let Ann Hammond add the extra million when we get that clarified? I just want to make sure it's legal, that they can't wiggle out of anything.
No,
I don't trust the lawyers.
So I know. So what we will sign. So what we'll approve is on the page 85. We will sign. We'll accept the proposal, and then we'll put changes below that we are in the process of finding coverage with the extra $1 million.
Excuse me, Chair Doyle, would we want to move this off of the consent calendar into action items by motion since there is adjustment here?
Yes, I think I said that we were taking it out of the consent calendar because there was some changes. So specifically it should go in 10. Right.
Okay, well, I will move what she just said. The approval of the $1 million policy subject, and I can't remember all the words, but whatever they were. And Jane, make sure you get the right words from staff.
So you're saying that you will make the motion according to what Suzanne Silva suggested as the correct wording? Okay.
Yes.
Make the motion to renew the policy. Yeah.
With the changes noted below, it will say request for increased limits quotes pending.
Yes.
And Anne can do this anyway, right? You can.
Increase, yeah.
The increase, yeah. Okay.
So we are just doing the motion on this one item then at this point, yes?
Yes.
Correct.
This is only for this item.
Correct. Any other comments?
Anybody want to make a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. All right, then I will go through the
Thank you,
go through the
Commissioner.
list. You're welcome. Commissioner Cahill, aye or nay?
Yes.
Commissioner Elkind,
Yes.
Commissioner Foxon,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge.
Aye.
Yes, Commissioner Hauser, that's a yes.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Newberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider,
Yes.
and I'll make it unanimous. All right. Thank you very much. We look forward to you letting us know that it's complete. There are two other agenda items in the consent calendar. Does anybody have a problem with either one of those?
Could you name them, please, just to be clear?
Sure. We need to approve the 2021 Library Commission meeting schedule. And we need to approve the minutes of the October 5th, 2020 regular meeting.
Thank you.
I move
This is
approval
Tom
of the
House.
other items on the consent calendar.
I'll second.
All right, any comments? Hearing none, I will also take a roll on these. First, can I do them together? I think I probably have to do them separately, don't I?
No.
No, the
It's the
consent calendar.
One,
No,
one
they-
vote.
They
Oh,
are
thank you.
together
Sorry.
on the consent calendar, yes.
Thank you. What a reminder. Commissioner Cahill,
Yes.
Commissioner Elkind,
Yes.
Commissioner Foxen,
Yes.
Commissioner Heavenridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Hauser,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Newberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Schneider,
Yes.
and I will make it unanimous. Wonderful. Thank you. All right, and we have done the Measure Y Oversight Committee Annual Report. Any discussion? And I can only see the agenda, so I can't see it if you've got your hands raised, but I don't hear anyone. So are there any agenda items for future commission meetings? My goodness. All right. Then we will see you at the next Library Commission meeting. That's Monday, December 7th at 6 p.m. Take care, everybody.
Stay
And thank you.
safe.
Bye
Stay safe.
now.
Thank you.
Good night.
And the meeting is adjourned.